Hi there, my name is Melissa Burkhart, and I'll be sharing with you strategies to help your child learn more and be able to play with their peers, and strategies that will help you connect more with your child socially, improve their language skills, and help them overall be successful in life. So the title of today's presentation is Parent Implemented Strategies for Teaching Crucial Play Skills. Once again, my name is Melissa Burkhart, and a little bit about my background. I am a board-certified behavior analyst. I taught in the public school system, ESE, early intervention, for 20 years. I'm also a certified Early Start Denver model therapist, which is a developmental behavioral therapy. And I'm an Early Start Denver model parent coach, which is parent coaching is actually one of my passions in life. I actually left the school system and became a BCBA so that I could spend more time with families, equipping parents with the skills and strategies to best help their child. So I'm really excited to share with you today about these strategies, and I'm extra excited to be able to share some videos of the strategies we're talking about. And these videos are from actual parent coaching sessions with families. So we'll talk about strategies, and then you get to see the strategies. And I really appreciate the families that allowed me to share these videos. Today's presentation is hosted by Florida Atlantic University Center for Autism and Related Disabilities, which is CARD, PEPSA, which is Partnership for Effective Programs for Students with Autism. The mission of FAU CARD is it's a center for autism and related disabilities. It provides expert consulting, training, and support at no charge for all people across all race, ethnic, gender groups with autism and related disabilities, their families, employers, the professionals and community and governmental agencies serving them. The vision is FAU CARD provides support and assistance with the goal of optimizing the potential of all people across all race, ethnic, and gender groups with autism and related disabilities. CARD serves 5 counties: Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, Okeechobee, Palm Beach, and they have 3 offices: Boca Raton, Jupiter, and Port St. Lucie, but it's all one dynamic service. The services are offered at no charge. They offer family and school consultations, training and workshops, public education, referrals and resources, adult hangout groups, and much, much more. Parents as outcome changers. When you think about the time that a parent spends with a child, parents spend so many hours caring for their child and being with their child. And the parents know the child better than anyone else, what motivates them, what's important to their child, and they care about their child, of course, more than anyone else. These hundreds of hours between being in school and being in therapy can be harnessed as time to work with your child. All those things that you have to do, caring for your child, I know you play with your child. Once you learn the strategies in this webinar, you're going to be able to apply the strategies and turn all those moments into natural therapy. And the child will be able to generalize what they're learning because it's happening in their daily routines. This equals better outcomes for a child. Although the children in the videos are young children, the strategies that I'm sharing with you today are from pivotal response training, as well as other evidence-based strategies, and they can be used with all ages. So please don't be thrown off if you have an older child, or if your child developmentally might be older, but developmentally younger and an older age. These strategies can be adapted for your child. Also, parents who receive this type of coaching and learn these strategies end up having less stress because they see the positive effect they're having on their child during the time they interact with them. And the children actually have better outcomes and less severe autism rate, autism severity and their traits. So I think it's really important to realize that parents can make such a difference. So right off the bat, children with autism are just different. They're different in the way they interact with the world. They're different with the way they play. They're different with the way they make friends. And this really goes down and boils down to a brain difference. It's a brain-based exceptionality. And right off the bat, they've done brain scans on children, young children with autism compared to children, neurotypical children. And right off the bat, children with autism have less brain reaction to faces. They have less cortical activation. In other words, their brains don't light up as much for faces. They light up more for objects and toys. So they might be more interested in how an object moves, how an object sounds if they drop it, how it wobbles, how it turns, and less interested in looking at a parent's face to share their ideas and to read the parent's ideas. Because of the brain setup being differently, the child is not attending naturally to the people around them. And therefore, every day they miss out on a learning opportunity, many learning opportunities, which negatively affects development over time. So that developmental gap can get bigger the less they're attending to the people around them. They're not learning from their peers as much. So the strategies today will increase your child's attention to you, to people in their environment, and to all the things going on around them so they can learn how to do all these different things from you and from their siblings and peers instead of being as stuck on objects. Actually, the strategies you learn today can actually help reprogram a child's brain for wanting to initiate and interact more, therefore increasing learning opportunities. We're going to be talking specifically about play today. And I think every parent's dream is that their child has a playmate, someone that they can be friends with, and they can share, even if their interests are unique, that they can share interests with. So we all want children to learn how to play. Play helps them to learn, and play is the glue of friendship. There's a wonderful study from Princeton that shows that baby and adult brains actually sync up during play. And so what happens, they put probes on the baby's brain and the adult's brain. And what they found out is that they actually influence each other's brains when they're synced up. We know they're synced up because they're face to face. They're looking at one another. They are sharing their attention on the same object. And we're going to be working on getting your child synced up with you and you synced up with your child. And what they found out is that their brains lead one another. It's almost their brain waves are leading one another to do the next thing or guess what the other person might do. It even helped the child be able to use more of their frontal lobe, which they really don't have a fully developed frontal lobe when they're young. However, it really surprised researchers that it did actually activate the frontal lobe when you're face-to-face playing. So play activates the whole neocortex. It lights up the entire brain. It wires the brain. So children with autism play differently. They might repeat an action or emotion more than peers. They might spend unusually long time with favorite toys. They may play with unusual objects in unusual ways. Their play might be a lot simpler. They might have less interest and skill in pretend play. And they seem more content to play alone with their toys, which means they're not able to learn as much from other people. And it also means it's a little more difficult to play, sometimes a lot more difficult to play with a child who has autism. But the power of play is that it increases the child's attention to you, which we learn can help sync up their brain and give them more learning opportunities. It decreases problem behaviors because they're learning to read other people. It increases joint attention, which we'll be talking about. It increases language and cognition and generative language. I'm going to be using that term quite a bit today. Generative language means a child is using their own novel idea in a situation. So instead of repeating what an adult says or just answering a question, they're actually thinking on their own and coming up with their own language. That takes a lot more brain connections than just repeating. Play teaches turn taking, and turn taking is the basis for everything in life, from having a job to having a conversation. perspective taking, understanding something from someone else's point of view, planning skills, executive functioning skills. Play helps with self-regulation and motor skills. So play is something powerful that we can harness to really help your child make big developmental gains, no matter what their age is. Research shows that children with autism who have better play skills at a young age go on to have better academic and language skills. So parents of skilled playmates equals powerful learning. We're going to be talking about in this segment about what type of parent play style helps a child learn the best. So one of the most common ones I find when I'm working with parents is the teacher or helper style. And this is an easy one to feel like you're doing the right thing, because when you think, oh, my child's behind, I need to teach them. Teachers ask questions and direct children to do things. However, research shows this is not how children learn the best. So our teacher or helper style might choose what a child will play. For example, they might say, hey, first we're going to do the puzzle. They might have a play plan in their mind. We're going to do the puzzles, then I'm going to work with you in your colors and shapes, flashcards, and then we're going to do this or that. Even within the play, the adult might direct the child, put the block there, move the horse over here, make the horse eat. They might tell the child what to say yellow block, and they might ask a lot of questions. What color is this? What number is this? What are you doing? Where are they going? The problem with asking a lot of questions is, for one, it makes children want to run the opposite direction. It's not something that makes the child want to stay around. Also, most of the time, the children are ignoring the question, or they might not be capable of asking the question. So they learn, hey, ignore questions. And guess what? At school, when the teacher asks you a question, your brain needs to alert and you need to think, hey, I need to attend to that. So when we ask less questions and are more intentional about the type of questions you ask, then the child expect a response. Then the child begins to alert. Someone's voice just went up at the end. When you ask a question, your voice goes up. I need to attend to that. I need to respond. Asking questions, like I said, if this is your style, I understand where you're coming from and why you're doing it this way. But we're going to talk about an evidence-based way that actually can better help your child learn. Another style is the do not disturb style. Some parents really use this style because maybe they have felt rejected by their child with autism. They might feel like, I've tried to play with my child picks up the toys and leaves. The child does not seem interested in playing. They may not feel comfortable playing. They might not have played that much as a child, or may not have had a parent that played with them. And like I said, they might feel rejected by the child. And I understand why a parent would go this way. They also might think, hey, my kid's happy. He's playing by himself and he looks really happy. However, with this style, the child ends up missing out on a lot of learning opportunities, and you miss out on connecting with your child. So the responsive player is a player who really reads their child's cues, the child's emotional cues and communication cues. The responsive player it's evidence-based, researched, enough research that you can read in the references that parents who are responsive players, their children have better language skills, better play skills, and better social communication skills. And we'll be talking about this in more detail, but a responsive player, a parent who uses the style, sets up the environment for learning so that whatever the child chooses, they can follow the child and allow the child work in learning opportunities following their child's motivation. They allow the child to choose. When a child chooses an activity, they'll stay with that activity longer because they're choosing what they're motivated to do. That means more learning opportunities. Follow the child's lead, which has to do with the child choosing the activity, but also within the activity, watching the child and seeing what they're interested in, Responsive players are animated and fun. They limit the number of questions, and they help the child with their idea. Now that we've talked about that, we're going to talk more about the stages of play. Once we talk about the stages of play, then we're going to be talking about really digging into what a joint routine with toys, a play routine, looks like. And we're going to be looking at videos of parents who are using that responsive play style and breaking down what they're doing to help their child learn. But it's important to know what stage of play your child is in so that you can pick materials that are at their appropriate level. When we teach children at their level, they're better able to learn. So if we teach above their level, they're not going to understand. We want to be at their level. It's called the proximal zone of development. We want to be right at that cusp of where they are to pull them and to get them to the next level. So exploratory play, your child could be older year-wise, but developmentally still in exploratory play, and that's okay. Even though it shows a young child, this could be any age child. This could be a 20-year-old who is developmentally young. So when a child's exploring, they're putting a lot of things in their mouth. They are experimenting with what it feels like, the toy. So things we can teach these children is to do one-step actions on a toy, such as put the block in, take the block out. If a child likes to throw things, which they frequently do at this stage of development, you could shape that to throwing balls into a basket. The next step is functional play. So as your child is moving out of exploratory play, they're going to start using an object in the way it's meant to be used, such as a puzzle, putting the pieces in, a shape sorter, putting the pieces in. At this point, we can teach the child how, like, for example, to use a brush in a functional way to brush your hair, their hair, and the doll's hair. You can start to teach some about feeding the baby and feeding themselves. But that really starts to happen a lot in the next stage, which is pretend play or symbolic play. Research shows that children who engage in pretend play or symbolic play actually have better language skills. So if you work on pretend play, it's actually going to help wire the brain for better language skills. The reason is that language is a symbol. The word ball is simply a symbol for an object. So it's symbolic, it's a little more abstract. So once you start really working on pretend play is representing abstract ideas. So therefore, to influence the child's language development. So we want to teach your child to link play actions and ideas. So what that might look like is, let's push the car up the ramp. It might even look like fill the car up with gas, put it on top of the ramp, and let it go down. Those are 3 actions linked together. You also want to teach them to use an object in the way it's not meant to be, such as this child using a block as a phone. You also want to teach them to use substitute objects, like if you're playing doctor and you don't have a stethoscope, could you grab a piece of string and pretend it's a stethoscope? Or could you use an invisible object and pretend you're licking an ice cream cone? Think about how symbolic that is and abstract. You want to act out familiar scenes together. So it starts with just teaching like 2-step play, fill up car, drive car, to multiple acts linked together, such as pretending to go to the grocery store, pretending to get in the car, drive, get your grocery cart, pretend to pick out food. This can also be used to help your child handle situations that are hard for the child, such as going to the doctor. You can act it out ahead of time. Going to the dentist, act out opening up your mouth, act out like touching the child's teeth to desensitize them, and pretend to do all these things. You can take your child just to go visit the dentist's office and not even sit in the chair, then go home and act it out. That helps decrease anxiety around all these different things that your child will be encountering. So we're going to be talking about specifically how to teach pretend symbolic play. There's a term, pivotal behaviors, that I really want to point out today, because the best way to think about pivotal behaviors is you get a lot of bang for your buck, and it positively affects all of your child's development. So instead of working on isolated skills, if we work on these pivotal behaviors, it's going to positively affect, and you're going to see greater gains over time. So I put this graph here because if you start today working more on the strategies we're talking about that increase a child's motivation by following their leads, they have more learning opportunities. We want a child to increase initiation, so the child's just not stuck on an object. They're looking at people and initiating, hey, play with me, look at me, I'm looking at you. Increase their imitation of other people. When they're attending to other people, they're more likely to imitate them, and that's how kids learn from one another. And it'll increase joint attention. I'm going to be explaining a little more about joint attention. I think it's a term that's thrown around quite a bit, and a lot of parents and even professionals don't quite really grasp what joint attention is. But I think it's a really important thing for you to understand so that you can look for it and teach it. So that graph shows that exponentially, if you can increase motivation, initiation, imitation, and joint attention without you having to do extra therapy hours, your child's going to make gains because they're learning from other people. So joint attention is when one person intentionally coordinates his or her focus of attention with that of another person. That is what joint attention is. For example, if you're with your child, you might think about maybe your child is using some joint attention right now, or you might think about being with an adult and you're out at maybe a restaurant and you see a delicious looking meal go by. So you might turn your head and then look back at your friend like, whoa, that looks yummy. You might even whisper, that looks yummy, and look back again. That triangle, two people and an object, two people sharing their ideas and thoughts about the object with their eyes, body, words, that's joint attention. Children with autism, a core deficit is a lack of joint attention. They're not really interested in showing other people things and responding to what other people are saying or showing them about objects. So they're missing out on learning a lot from the other person and reading someone's face and sharing affect, all of those things. So the joint attention, some things that are very clear joint attention behaviors is following a point like, hey, look over there, go pick that up. Pointing out an object. A child might point at the object, but do they look back at you to check in to see if you saw it too? Do they read your face? Do they react to your expression and look back again? Lots of kids with autism might point out airplane, airplane, but they don't reference back to the adult to check in. Following someone's gaze, like with that example in the restaurant, just turning ahead right before 1 year of age. Neurotypical children, when a parent turns their head and doesn't say a thing, the child turns her head to see what the parent's looking at. Think about children with autism, they miss out on those subtle cues. Using a point to direct attention, such as, hey, look at that airplane, but checking in with the partner for that triangle to be complete. Also using eye gaze and head turn together to direct attention. So a take home, research shows that children learn language faster when we talk about what already has their attention. And in the joint attention triangle, when we talk about what a child is already looking at, then we're sharing attention over an object or an activity. That's the first part of the triangle, one of the first legs. We may not have the complete triangle where the child's looking back up at you and sharing their thoughts and reading your thoughts, but the foundation is, if you talk about what a child is looking at and already interested in, they're going to learn language faster. This is for neurotypical children and children on the spectrum. So we create shared, predictable joint routines. Joint meaning you're sharing control of play with your child. When you're first starting these, it'll be heavier with your child being mostly in control, but we're going for a shared control of play. Not only does this have to do with toy play, but it has to do with all your routines throughout the day, from helping your child get dressed if they still need your help, to brushing teeth and caregiving, mealtime, sharing control, giving them an active role. so they can be learning. So when we go in to start a joint routine with a child, and we're going to be talking specifically about toy play, we want to be a wise owl. And like I said earlier, the reason why we follow a child's lead is that, remember that pivotal behavior of motivation? When we see what they're already interested in, they're already motivated, so they'll stick with it longer and have more learning opportunities. You're also, when you try to shift a child's attention with autism, you lose them very quickly. That's actually a deficit, is being able to shift attention. You probably have seen that. It's hard to get a child with autism, even neurotypical kids, to shift their attention sometimes. So we want to be a wise owl, which means we have big eyes and we're observing. Remember, we set up the environment for learning. You want to minimize distractions for you and your child. So for minimize distractions for adults means that we're present with the child. It means that our trusty cell phone is not in our hand or even by our side. It's best to have it in another room if you're really just going to work on a joint routine with a child, even if it's for 10 minutes. And you want to minimize distractions for your child, which means we don't have 20 toys and piled in a basket that they can go rummage through and dump, and then rummage some more and rummage some more, because it's going to be hard for them to maintain attention. And a big part of all of this is helping your child maintain attention long enough to have learning opportunities. We observe, what is the child really interested in? So if the child chose an activity, you would go and sit with them and see, what is it about the Play-Doh that they like? Oh, they seem to like the feel of the Play-Doh when they mush it. That's what's really holding their attention about Play-Doh. Or it might be, poking, poking, poking. They're just doing that over and over again. Even though you might think, hey, that's repetitive, observe continuously throughout the playtime with your child, because you're going to be using that to help. Wait, before you jump in to play with your child, just observe. Take some deep breaths yourself, regulate, and be present. Listen to your child's idea. Like I said, what is that subtle little idea? What's the game now? Oh, the game now is rolling the Play-Doh. Okay, that's their idea. We're not jumping in to change what the child is doing, even if it's repetitive. We have to start where the child is, or we're not going to get to other places. We want to get in the spotlight of attention. So whatever the child is looking at, if you think about the eyes as being a flashlight, whatever they're looking at would be highlighted with a light. You want to step into that spotlight. So if your child is focused on a puzzle, you're going to get directly in front of the child with the materials in between, so that your child can see your face. You can see your child's face. Your child can see how you form words. That's very important for them, especially kids. A lot of kids with autism have motor issues with forming words. You can really see your child's idea, and they're much more likely to shift that gaze up to your face, which is the beginning of joint attention. You're going to owl. What's your child interested in? Get face to face. If your child moves while you're working with them, playing, you're going to move your body. So let's say you're doing magnetiles and your child got up, got some more magnetiles in position facing this way, and you're this way. You yourself are going to move your body. It's dynamic. You usually don't stay in the same spot. For a little one, you can just move back in front of you. And this has to do with everyday routines as well. Can you get in front of your child while you're feeding them? Can you get in front of your child when you're bathing them? After you observe and you really get an idea of what your child is interested in about the toy, then you can join in. And join in doesn't mean you join in and direct the play. You're a responsive player. You're going to watch what the child's doing, imitate the child's idea. So if they're putting a car down a ramp, you're going to put a car down the ramp. We're going for balanced turns, but at first, if your child's not used to you touching toys, it might be 4 turns for the child, 1 turn for you. We don't even have to say your turn, my turn, because kids don't really do that. They just take a turn. Your turn, my turn is good for board games and things like that, but it doesn't have to be what you say when you take a turn. It can be just having fun. Wow, look at that. The car went down. My car's going down too. And you want to make it fun, which means use a big affect, fun sounds, admire your child's idea, really slow it down. And it's worth it because your child's going to really be able to learn from you. And you're going to see research shows that just doing this, your child's joint attention is going to increase without you even intentionally trying to. Just sharing attention over an activity will increase joint attention. So to review, and we're going to see this in videos, get face to face and in the spotlight. This mom is down on her child's level, directly across from the child. If the child moves, the parent's going to move. Where you lead, I will follow. What is your child? What's the game? The game might be putting putting people on the train and then animals. Well, you would join in and help your child put people on the train. Later, we're going to talk about teaching imitation, but right now, this is foundational. Be a sportscaster. So what kind of language do we use during this time? We owl continuously throughout play. You might stop many times throughout play, take a deep breath, reflect on how things are going. How is your child reacting? Are you getting more shared smiles? You're going to talk about what the child's doing. So if your child is speaking in 3 to 4 words, you're going to speak in 5 to 6 words. You're going to one up your language. If your child's nonverbal, you'll be using 1 to 2 words. You're going to emphasize core words, nouns, and action words. Children with autism usually learn letters and numbers very naturally. They love letters and numbers because they're sequential and always the same. Same with colors. Those things feel good to them. They help them. I think they help children with autism feel safe and secure. It's harder to realize what behind looks like in different situations. So if you're narrating, or let's go with under, if you're narrating the car's going under the bridge, and then later you say, hey, you dropped your napkin, it's under the table, that looks very different. So all these concept words and core words that they think about, the teacher at school giving all these directions, put your name at the top of the page, the bottom of the page. So you're going to use words like top, bottom, in, out, fast and slow, naming nouns, naming action words, naming prepositions. And we'll see that. I have videos of parents doing this. You're going to imitate your child's idea. That can be your turn, is doing what your child does, and have fun and be fun. The hardest part I find is parents dropping questions or stop dropping questions. It's really hard, and it takes a week or so to realize, oh, I'm asking another question. How else could I word this? So being a sportscaster, like a sportscaster talks about, oh, he's running down the field with a football. You would do the same thing for your child. You can also narrate what you're doing, and you can also talk for your child. So if your child's mad or is fussing because they need help, you could talk for your child. If your child's younger, developmentally young, I need help. Whatever you say will eventually come out of your child's mouth. Put the words in your child's ear that you want to come out of your child's mouth. And that is a quote by Dr. Sally Roger, who wrote the Early Start Timber model, one of the authors. Another thing you want to do is be a mirror. Research shows the more we imitate children, the more they observe and watch. They want to see, if I change it up, are you going to imitate me? And the more likely they are to imitate us. So watching very closely and imitating. We have a lot of different joint routines that we can think about. People play, we're going to be talking about, play with props, toy play, books, caregiving routines can be thought about in this way, family chores, transitions. Today, we're mostly going to be talking about people play, toy play, and books. But I also want you to think about caregiving activities, using all the same strategies, trying to be in front of the child. What is the child interested in? Finding something, a hook, a motivation to help your child get through these daily activities that can be so hard for kids with autism. And when we do this, problem behavior decreases because the child's more motivated to engage in these activities. So the joint routine structure, and this is for toy play, is set up. Choose a toy. If the child is already engaged, you would get across from the child and begin to owl. You would set up materials together. It's joint, remember? You're going to be doing this together. You might even take out some toys together, and then you could put a few pieces behind you so you have something to hand the child. The middle is a child can request the pieces that you have. You can use the pieces you have to imitate their play ideas and to take turns. Closing, you help the child clean up and transition to a new activity. We want to set up an environment for play. If we just have a lot of randomly chosen toys that you don't have a good idea about things that you can do or implement with the toys to work with your child, and there's so many that the child goes from toy to toy to toy, it's going to be hard to maintain their attention. So you think about choosing toys at your child's play level, which we discussed earlier. You want to limit the number of toys available. For a lot of parents, this means finding a storage place for toys, giving toys away. You might want to have 6 to 7 toys. Some of them they can do independently, and some they need help with. And think about introducing new toys, because kids on the spectrum usually have just a smaller number of toys that they're interested in. You want to limit the number of pieces available. If you have a basket this deep with Legos and a child dumps them all out, it's going to be harder to clean it up, and it can be really distracting. So you might think about, they only need 30 pieces. They might need more than that. You want to be respectful of the child, but you also can really limit a lot of the pieces. Contain the toys so cleanup is easy. Clear containers, baskets. If possible, use open shelving and having those baskets on the shelf so the child can learn to take it out, do the activity, put it back. You want to rotate your toys approximately every 10 days. Toys get stale, and when they get stale and the child's bored, they usually start using them inappropriately. Throwing the toys and not maintaining attention to them. If you keep them fresh, if you rotate toys out, you might find you put them back in 60 days later, and it's like the child's seeing the toy for the first time. You don't have to keep buying new toys. Put electric toys away, electronic toys, toys that light up or do repetitive things or say repetitive things usually lead to repetitive play, and it's really hard to compete for their attention. You want to create a comfy book corner for the child, maybe with a beanbag and a few well-chosen books facing out. You want to have a table and a chair at an appropriate height, so that's a choice where the child can go play. People play is play without an object. It's really important no matter what age your child is, though it's something we do really naturally with younger children. We don't have an object because objects really capture a child's attention. Remember, the brain of an autistic child. So with people play, you're the center of attention. It's face to face, you and the child. Common examples of little ones is patty cakes, ring around the rosy. With older children, it might be tickles, chase. But the parent gives some and waits, and the child gives some. It's back and forth, and it lays the foundation for back and forth play skills, taking turns, and back and forth conversational skills and imitation skills. People play is very valuable, or they're also called sensory social routines. They can help a child calm down or help a child be more alert for a better state of learning. Activities that are slow, swaying, songs like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, lowering your voice, co-regulating down instead of getting more excited with a child can help calm a child. Jumping, tickles are very arousing. You might find when you start those type of games with your child, it's almost impossible to bring them back down again. So we co-regulate, which means if a child gets overly excited, you're going to lower your voice, slow down your motions, your physical motions with your body. You might want to give some deep input. A lot of children love like singing a slow song and giving squeezes and then stopping, waiting for the child to cue. So the child is not just a passive recipient. It's give, wait, and the child will give back. So we want to pause every 10 to 15 seconds and wait for a cue from your child to continue. It might be eye contact, verbalization, or those together, bundled communication, which is eye contact paired with verbalization and gestures. And that's what we're really going for. That's a really higher level of communication. Some people play ideas. Observe how your child likes to move. If your child loves to spin, you might want to try ring around the rosy. With it being ring around the rosy, pause. Wait for the child to look at you to cue or say something. Pocket full of posy, pause. If your child likes to jump, you can try 5 little monkeys, but you're intentionally putting pauses every 10 to 15 seconds. If your child likes deep pressure, you can try pillow squeezes on their body. So give some and then pause and wait for the child to request more, and look at you, nursery rhymes and children's songs. So a take home is we want to practice and model self-regulation. And I pulled this in to people play because people play helps a child to regulate. And we want to help children learn how to self-regulate. One mistake, and I just want to briefly talk about this, but in your handout, I did a step-by-step in teaching self-regulation. When we talk about self-regulation, frequently we're helping a child learn how to take deep breaths to help themselves calm down when they're overly upset or overly excited. But a mistake that almost everyone makes is that they wait till the child's upset and they say, take a deep breath, or overexcited, take a deep breath. When the child's upset and you're asking them to take a deep breath, they begin to associate taking a deep breath and being upset, and they might refuse to do this. So like I said, in your handout, I really broke down how to teach self-regulation. And I put this under people play because kids learn how to regulate by co-regulating with an adult that they feel safe with. So if your child is having a really bad tantrum, I know in ABA frequently we're told to like walk away from the child and not give them any attention. However, there is a thread of ABA where we believe that you stay present with the child. You might not give them a lot of attention if it's motivated by attention, but you let the child know you're there. You take deep breaths with the child and you co-regulate, which means you help the child calm down by being present and being empathetic. Hey, you look upset. That was hard. You really wanted that. So that's very important. In the handout, I gave you some references for some different videos to use for teaching self-regulation. And this really goes under people play because it's you and the child face to face. The power of the pause. So within people play and toy play and book routines, when you pause, you're giving room for your child to communicate. It's really hard to pause when you feel like my child is not talking, they're not paying attention to me. But when you pause within a predictable routine, such as ring around the rosy or tickles, and the child just expects you to keep giving tickles, when you pause at that big moment, they're going to look at you and cue you. And all the time, every time they look at your face, you're rewiring the brain to have more reinforcement for face-to-face interaction, which means you'll have a child who's more motivated to initiate, which means more learning opportunities. Remember that graph? We're going to look at a people play routine or sensory social routine. I want to apologize right now for it's not the best video right off the bat, but I thought it would be a good one to show you because I want to introduce you first of all to this wonderful family because we're going to meet other members of this family. And also it's actually me in this video a while back when I was working on finishing up my early September model certification and working with a little girl, and you'll see me use a point to help her reference for joint attention. And then you'll see how motivated she is to engage in this people play routine. And what I'm going for in this, my target is her being able to cue me that she wants more. Later on, I'll wait for her to say something and look at me at the same time. But right now, we're just having people play and having her let me know she wants more of something to increase her language skills. Yeah. Here's your towel. I see it. Look, it's right over there. Look, Priscilla. Your towel is right up there in the bag. Can you get it? There you go. You're doing it.
Good job, Priscilla.
Sleeping around the room is a good idea. Okay. Can you help me fix it? If you help, okey dokey. Okay. What do you want? Mommy, well, okay. Ring around the rosy. Sugar. We are all Miss. So that is Priscilla. And now you're going to meet Priscilla's little brother. But just to point out, the strategies used in that video is pausing, not just, she would have loved for me just to keep on going and going and going and going and going, but I would have missed out on the opportunity for her to request. She didn't really have much functional language at that point, and she was so motivated. So when I pushed later for eye contact and speaking at the same time, she hung in there with me and used it, which helped to wire her brain because she was motivated. The next little guy you're going to meet is Priscilla's brother. And I am going to go on a quick little tangent because I think this is important. If you have a child with autism, there's a 10 to 15% chance that a sibling will have autism as well. I don't say that to scare you, but I want you just to be aware and watch, because all the things I'm teaching you, you can do with your neurotypical child, or if you suspect your child might have autism, or if they're diagnosed, and start rewiring that brain early on. I want to tell you the story about what happened. So Priscilla and her family moved away. They came back in town years later. Mom had a few more children, and I was holding the youngest sibling, who was 10 months, 12 months old at that age, at that time, and watching Priscilla play on the playground. She had a lot of great social skills at that time. And I just held that little baby, and he was sweet and smiled. And, you know, just a sweet little guy. But something just didn't seem to sit right. And even though I had so much experience, I'm highly specialized with identifying autism in very young children, I still didn't catch anything right then, but I kept thinking about that little guy, how he didn't initiate. He wasn't really motivated to look at me and keep the game going. I really had to use big affect to wake him up and get him alert. So about 2 weeks after I was with the family, I just called Mom up and I said, you know this is probably going to be hard for you to hear, but when I really look at him, he doesn't show the same signs of early red flags as his sister. He presents really differently, but he doesn't initiate. He's not that motivated by people. He's very low tone and low activity level. And even though he's as sweet as he can be, I suspect early possible red flags of autism. Mom said, you know, I've been trying to put my finger on it, but there's something off. And so we were able to do some telehealth parent coaching, which these videos, all the rest of the videos are through telehealth parent coaching, which I do with families all over the United States and outside of the United States. So now we're going to look at baby Brooks. And you'll see he presents really differently. We're working on gestures, imitating gestures, looking at Mom to initiate, and people play songs. He's quite young in this video. He's not quite 2.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Can you go fast with me? Fast. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will really show it. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Hey, I'm waiting to clap. Now I need you to stomp your feet with me. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. If you're happy and you know it, then your face will really show it. If you're happy and you know it, stomp your feet. Stomp your feet. Woo!
So as you can see, he is just a precious little guy, but he presents really differently than his sister. And I say this just to like really look for those early red flags and go with your gut. If you think something is off, your pediatrician may not agree. No one might agree with you. Go ahead and look at the resources on my website, earlystartautism.com. There's so many free resources. Also, a lot of information about identifying autism early, and get to work right away using these strategies. And so little Brooks, we did parent implemented therapy, and he is just made 4. And his language is back on level. He was in early steps and had a delay, and now everything has leveled out. It doesn't always happen that way, but it was a mom who knew a lot of skills from working with her other child and then working with him. And she did it all day long. And guess what? It made a difference. Now we're going to talk about book routines. Book routines are another joint routine. And book routines, as much as possible, we want to position face-to-face with a child. I like to hold the book directly under my chin. You'll see this in the video, so the child can shift their gaze up to your face, which is that beginning for joint attention. Some children are really wiggly. A lot of kids with autism have low tone. So frequently putting a child in a beanbag can help support their attention to you and their body, or their back against or on the sofa, or the back against the sofa. Choose books according to your child's interests. Then you can build bridges to other genres. They might just have one type of book they like. That's okay. Start there. Everything's about building a bridge to other things. Follow your child's lead. So for a younger child, you're going to be talking about what the child is looking at or talking about. So we don't have to read every single word. We usually lose a kid if we're reading every single word. You can drop that. That kind of is that teacher mentality, which I understand. But research shows you talk about what the child's looking at, then the child is going to learn so much more. You want to limit questions and directing the child, even with your older child. You don't want to constantly ask questions that makes the child want to run away, makes them not want to engage with you. So for little bitty ones, it might be, where's the doggy? Also directing child, like point to this, point to that, point to this, point to that, will take away from the child's love of reading, and frequently they want to escape. Help the child make connections to real life. Oh, that's a dog. The next door neighbor has a dog. That dog's name is Blackie because he's black. With an older child, we're actually going to talk about that in the next slide, and talk about your thoughts. So this is an example for a younger child up to an older child. So think aloud to teach inferencing. Children with autism have a very hard time reading between the lines. So you can think out loud. For example, in this story, Curious George is perfect for inferencing, teaching beginning inferencing. I noticed George's eyes are looking at the fish and he's reaching. I wonder what might happen next. Oh, and look at the fish. The fish's eyes are looking at the smaller fish. I wonder what could happen to that little fish. Let's find out. So talking aloud about picture cues and cues in the text will help your child learn to inference. We're going to be looking at a book routine with baby Brooks again. To promote joint attention, we're going the targets here where the child was the child shifting the gaze up to the parent's face, and also imitation. This little guy before would not shift his gaze at all. Think about even with your older children, if they're in front of you and you're reading, pausing so the child shifts their gaze to share smiles. That's where that beginning joint attention. So watch how skillfully mom uses these strategies and watch the child's behavior. So we're looking for beginning joint attention, shared smiles, gaze shifts, and imitation.
Hey, look what I have. Look what I have. Look at this. Oh, good night, lake. Oh, that's a moon. That's a moon. That's letters. See? Good night, lake. Let's open the book. Good morning, rowboat and boaters. Good morning, miss, coming off the lake. Are we ready to share a wonderful day? Yes. I want to share a good day with them. I see a chipmunk. Right there. Chipmunk. Okay, I'm turning the page. Good morning, ducks and ducklings. Good morning, swans and cygnet. Greetings, spring winds and rains gusting across the water. I see rain. Ooh, rain. 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 It's nice to see you, lilies and lily pads. What beautiful blossoms have grown from the muddy bottom of the lake. Hello, tadpoles. Good morning, frog. That fly. That's a fly. Oh no, you're gonna eat the fly? Yay. Does it taste good? Ew, it's a fly. Disgusting. That's for frogs. That's frogs. Does that fly look yummy to you, Froggy? That's flower. Flower. Tadpole. That fly's still there. The frog hasn't eaten him yet. Oh, fly, watch out.
Lisa, it's going so well.
Sunshine, flip. Sunshine. Ooh, the bird loves the sunshine. The bird's saying, tweet, tweet, I love mornings. Greetings, little minnows. Minnows, be careful of the largemouth bass. Greetings, fishermen. Good luck. They're fishing. Oh no. What's the next page? Good night, campers at campfire. Where's the marshmallows? Yum. They're eating marshmallows around the fire. That's moon. That's the moon. That's the moon, and that's the reflection of the moon. Moon and moon. That's stars. That's a big star. Big star. Big star. We're a mouse. Good night, mouse. Night. Ice fishing hut. I don't know, it's ice. What do you see?
So there's the mom is doing so much to support this child. She's face to face. Her language is right above his level. And you see how long she waits. The week before we had talked about this strategy, there were no gaze shifts. I counted 0 the week before, and this one, I believe, we ended up counting over 12 gaze shifts, which is the beginning of joint attention. And it happened because the mom's behavior changed. Instead of just going through the book, she stopped at those moments when the child was most motivated and waited a really long time. It's hard to wait that long. You sometimes have to count in your head. Waited for that gaze shift, and then she immediately reinforced by saying what the child was interested in. And you can see there's an increase in imitation of gestures, which is what language builds upon, and that gaze shift and all the language this little guy was learning because he was so motivated. And because of this, like I said, only parent implemented therapy, he is no longer, does not appear to be at risk. So take home, research shows that when you imitate a child, you increase imitation skills. So the more we imitate a child, the more they're going to imitate us. So we're done really talking about book routines, and now we're going to start talking about teaching imitation. Imitation deficits are a core deficit in children with autism. As I said, it's because they're not paying attention usually to other people and usually not motivated to imitate other people. But if you slow it down and imitate your child and watch what they're interested in, they're going to imitate you more, and you're going to have an increase in learning opportunities. When we teach imitation skills, we want to observe, wait, and listen. You want to get a toy similar to what your child has or an identical toy. So that's the first. Observe, wait, listen, give your child that space. That's the foundation. Start imitating. You can be taking turns doing what your child's doing. Then you're going to show your child something new 2 or 3 times. Make it big and fun. Wait for your child to do it. Add extra cues. You might have to help your child do the action. Celebrate that your child did it and go back to your child's way. It's really tempting if the child imitates you to show them another idea and another idea. But the reinforcement is, you imitated me, now I'm going to follow you again. Teaching imitation, it addresses that core deficit in play, which is when a child wants to do the same thing over and over and over again. We want to teach them new ideas to do with toys so that when they're with peers who maybe are in the kitchen at the play center at school or on the playground, when a child does something, we want them to understand, oh, that's a fun idea, I'm going to imitate it, or I've done that before. If we only let them play in the way they want to play repetitively, they're not going to be able to play with other kids well. So this is a video of another family that's receiving parent coaching, and we're working on imitation with toys. So this child only did very, very repetitive, same ideas with toys over and over again. He was really stuck on toys, on cars. So when your child's stuck on one type of toy, you try to combine toys to build a bridge to become interested in other toys. So that's what we're working on here. And the parent's going to go through the steps of imitation. Does that make sense? And so with this, and I apologize, with this platform I was using, you see my face, which I would prefer not being in this video. So I apologize about that. Make sense? And so is this a new idea?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, let's follow it. Let's go with it.
Okay, oh, okay.
Yeah. So imitating his idea. And so you might do it again or let him.
I wanna fly onto the top.
You might just do it since this is an idea you've done before. Yeah.
Oh. Oh, he's okay. He's okay. Then like do it again?
Yeah, let me just watch it and then I'm gonna make a recommendation. I just want to see what's going on. So you might follow him now and then do it again. If he doesn't do it, help him do it.
Oh, she's okay. Yeah, she didn't fall down. Okay, here I come too.
Okay, now you followed him. So now go back to the root and see if you can get him to go back to that. And if he doesn't do it, just help him do it. After you show him. Yay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So he didn't get stuck with a door. You instead, yeah. So I'm able to flex back and forth between different play actions.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much, buddy. You're so good at sharing.
Now you can follow him back. Go to the door again. So it's follow, lead, follow, lead.
Oh, no. Is
And
she
then you might think of
okay?
that.
Is she okay? Give her a kiss. Oh, good job. Good job. Oh, back up on the side. I'm coming too.
Waiting, Andrea.
Oh, you want him to go down? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Oh, peaceful. No. Oh.
Then, and so you might take a turn too, and then we might think about doing something a little bit different, maybe like driving up it, or, yeah, just gonna add some. But you're following him again. Now, back inside, you can follow him back inside. Oh, he's coming with you.
We're gonna go through here again. Oh, I'm gonna go through the door. Girl, they're both in here. Cute. I'm gonna go up on the top. I'm waiting for you.
And see if he'll drive it up. And maybe next time, we'll show him one more time in a minute, then help him.
Oh, thank you. I'm gonna go up on the top.
And you might help him do it real quick with him.
Ready? Let's go up. Can you drive the girl up?
And he-
Another step. Oh,
and now you go back. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
yay! Yeah, good job. You're doing. Oh, that's so fun. Oh, come on. Oh, I'm stuck. Oh, thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping me get to the top. Good job.
Now he's being flexible, doing something, so you follow back to that.
Oh. Oh, no.
That's
Is
okay.
she okay? Oh, good. Oh, tumble over. Oh, open the barn. Open the barn doors. Oh, you tried that side.
Mhm.
Good job. Here I come. Good too. Peekaboo. I got you. Where is that? You peeking through the barn. Thank you, Elias. Do you want to trade? Do you want the police car? No. Can I have the girl? No. Okay. Okay. Nothing else.
So you kind of feeling the rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Follow, lead, follow, show them something a little
Mhm.
different, show them again. Go ahead.
No, and I was gonna say, and this is, yeah, this isn't, just so you know too, like, this isn't something we do. Like, I don't use, like, this is new, so it's exciting.
It is exciting. He's flexing between different ideas. But see, you like show him something a couple times. I didn't even have to physically prompt him because after you showed him the second time, he did it. He gave a little bit of a verbal prompt. And then he tried it by himself. And then you follow him back to his idea. So that's reinforcing when you follow him. And then you just kind of think about, okay, something else. And that's what we want him to do is like incorporate your new ideas that you've taught him so he's not just stuck. Because if you hadn't showed him anything, he would have probably gone in and out and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he also made sound like a boom because you're making an effort to like combine action and sound. So he's learning flexibility. And it's follow, let him lead, you follow him, and then think of something simple and fun, show him a couple of times. If he doesn't do it, it's better just to give a little physical prompt than a verbal and get him going.
Okay.
So it's,
Okay, that's good.
so imitation is I do it, you do it versus I follow a direction.
You close the barn.
Yeah. You want to keep on going back into this, like,
So hopefully that really illustrates how we teach a child to be flexible, and we're really targeting the core deficit of autism, which is that rigid, restrictive behaviors that leads to tantrums, problem behaviors, and inability to play with other people. But if you notice, the mom was in the spotlight, her language was right above her child's level. She did a lot of expectant pausing and big affect. She waited. That takes a lot of like patience and deep breathing to kind of keep yourself still and present. She was watchful. She followed him, and then she showed him something he's done before and showed him new ideas. So he went from being a really rigid kid, actually, we just did coaching over not that long period of time, to being super rigid and having no imitation skills, to imitating his sister and being flexible and using a lot of his own new ideas, generative ideas over time. And he's doing pretty well in a neurotypical pre-K right now. It doesn't always happen this way. He had a lot of language skills for a little guy, but he did have those core deficits of autism. Now we're talking about how to teach pretend and symbolic play. And like we said, this helps with language development. So when you target pretend play for your little smaller guys, you want to get materials out like stuffed animals and dolls, feeding bowls, cups and silverware, bathing, if that's what you're going to act out, a baby, tubs and rags, doctor kits, play store, food, money, shopping cart. So we are going to look at this joint routine with play with toys with a dollhouse. So we're looking for the parent to be in the spotlight, owling, narrating simple language, following the child's idea, and then also showing some new ideas. This is baby Brooks once again, and his wonderful mom.
Sit down. Okay. What is that? Yeah, you found a little switch where there's supposed to be a light, but we don't have lights. Hey. Oh, that's a light. Oh, that's an oven. Is there food in the oven? You're looking in very closely. Is there food in the oven? I don't see any. I don't see any food. Oops, no food. But I do love baby doggy. Does baby doggy want to go to the restaurant? Knock, knock, knock. Sure, you can come in. Baby doggies. Baby doggies smelling though. So let baby doggy in. So cute. Again? 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 Can we come into the restaurant, please?
Do you get a puppy dog too?
I have a bench. Baby doggy is sitting on the bench. Mommy doggy's sitting. Help? Help with baby doggy? Baby sitting on the bench. Yay! Here comes daddy doggy. Can I come into the restaurant, please? Mommy doggy fell down. Oops. Oh no. And baby doggy fell down. I'm putting mommy back. Mommy's sitting back. Oh, now daddy's coming in. He's gonna cook at the oven, at the sink right here, at the stove.
Yeah, cook. Now right here, Lisa, just pause a second and watch him for a second.
Oh no, Daddy, don't go on the roof. Don't go on the roof of the restaurant. He's cooking at the stove. He's cooking. Is there anybody else? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Baby doggy, don't do it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No. He fell down. Oops. Uh-oh. Oh, he fell down. Yeah.
And now you followed him for a little bit. In just a minute, you can think of something really simple to show him. And if he, a couple of times, if he doesn't do it, he'll do it, and then practice.
Okay.
So it could be like jumping, running, sleeping, eating, all things he would know.
Boing, boing, boing. Baby doggy, you're jumping on the table. Boing, 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 boing. That's a table. Boing, boing.
Yeah.
Baby jumping on the. Should that be sit?
And so if you notice, mom does so many things to support this little guy. And really the hardest thing for mom with this little guy is that he has a low initiation. He has low tone. You can see his little face. He doesn't smile that frequently. And she felt like she needed to direct him constantly because he took so long to initiate an idea. So we really worked a long time on the power of the pause to give him space to use his own ideas in his own language. Some kids are really easy to direct because they don't have that much initiation with their own ideas. But because she really slowed down and gave him space, he began to use his own ideas with confidence, such as the dog falling off the roof. And then he actually imitated her. But it just takes a lot, and every child's different for this, you know, how you need to interact, but the foundations stay the same. Being across from the child so he could shift his gaze to your face, bigger affect, language at the child's level, following the child, slowing down, narrating, and then showing some new ideas to teach flexibility. Now we're going to do one, actually we have two more videos. This is beginning pretend play with our other little friend. And so let's just watch this for all those different elements about teaching imitation and teaching
Okay.
play skills.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And I suppose that, yeah, that goes the same then with, yeah, then you can do imitation with like that simple, you know, pretend play or whatever.
Exactly. It all fits in together, Andrea. So it's having the materials available. Follow in the first step is what is he interested in about this, just to get a shared agenda so he'll stay with you. What is he interested in about this? Even if it's something repetitive, what does he like about it? And you can join in. Because once you join in, he's going to start paying attention to you. Then you have the opportunity to show him something new, which works on that flexibility and play.
Hi, Lion. Oh, it's not fair. I'm gonna get my bear.
Yeah, as much as possible, you having two things like you're doing really helps with imitation.
Oh, it's Winnie the Pooh. Hi, Lion. The bears are hungry. Not the other one. Scoop. Hi. This bear too. There. You're welcome. Oh, scoop it. I'm gonna see what happens if I don't take the bell.
Okay, let's see.
But I can. I was just curious what would happen.
Where is the bell? Okay, there it is.
I have a spoon. Do you have a spoon? Yeah. Oh, okay. Stir. That's squeaky.
Yeah.
Nom, 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 nom.
And he can feed you. He can feed Bear.
Nom, 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 nom. Are you the hungry bear?
Yay, now really celebrate. Yay!
Yummy, good job. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. And he did it. He successfully imitated you.
What's up?
He imitated you without you saying you do it. He was
I
amazing.
know, I think that's where I've been so like concerned about the skill that I've been like, let's do this, let's do that. But I understand what you're saying completely. And that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And instead of let's do it, you're just doing that verbal prompt. I mean, I'm sorry, you're dropping the verbal prompt, you're just doing the physical prompt, which are gonna fade out. But really reinforce it when he does it. Like, wow, the bear's so happy, he loved it.
Okay.
So you can see how mom there showed him a few times. She really, when she took her turn, she like really upped her affect and her voice and her gestures. We had done music before that and he was stuck on the bells and his attention was stuck on the bells, not attending to mom. And he wasn't learning from her because he was stuck on the bells. And so she thought about taking it away, but he might have a tantrum. So she said, just leave it. And so really try to draw him in. And she did by upping her voice and her affect and made it super fun. And sure enough, he forgot about those bells and he wanted to initiate and imitate and was motivated. This is our last video. This is Mr. Books again. And I'm showing this video because you can pull in pretend play all day long. You can bring in your bear or your baby doll or whatever to snack time, to book time. And it really helps them to generalize and learn pretend play, which is a lot of bang for your buck, like I said.
Who's this? Oh, that's baby. You're giving baby a hug. Baby likes hugs. That's nice. That's the baby's eyes and nose. Nose. I've been for baby for years. Would you like more bark? Yes. Oh, that's a really nice idea to share with baby. Thank you, Brooks. Thank you.
Look right at you. When he was a baby, he looked right at you too.
Yeah.
To share that moment.
Oh, good. You're such a big boy. Is this for you or for baby? Oh, for baby. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I have a really fun idea. Brooks. Brooks. You got a chocolate chip? Ooh, yummy. Oh no, you have two of them. Oh my gosh. Oh goodness. Okay. Goodness. This little piggy on baby. Ready? This little piggy wants to learn. This little piggy say no. This little piggy had roast beef. And this. And this little piggy went. It's funny. More hard. More.
Right, they're just waiting for initiation or eye contact.
This is big. This is a big head. Silly.
This, you can just see how important pauses are for getting the child to shift the gaze, to use communication. These are things you can do with a 15-year-old with autism. If they're talking on and on about their favorite car or favorite video game, and they expect you to comment or say something and you don't, they're gonna shift back to you to say like, hey, why didn't you say what you normally say? And the minute they shift their gaze back to you is when you comment. So think about those motivating moments when you're having a conversation with a very verbal child. Where can you slow down and not respond? And the minute they shift the gaze to you, respond. Then they're going to start to realize talking and looking can cue the other person that it's their turn, and then they'll get a turn. So to get to more complex pretend play, you can use substitute objects like pretend a block is a phone, link actions together, feed baby, put baby in bed, cover baby, do more linked actions to create scenes like we talked about, playing restaurant. And all of these help a child learn social norms and social situations and help them deal with stressful events. So I included this quote: the caterpillar must go through the developmental work to become the butterfly. If we tear open the cocoon to lighten the work, we'll never know the full beauty of the butterfly. And to me, this really applies to giving your child active roles, to be actively engaged, and putting in those pauses to let your child use their own generative ideas so that they can develop their own language. Don't tear into that cocoon. So a small investment in applying these strategies during joint routines with your child can lead to greater developmental gains for your child over time, fewer problem behaviors, a more joyful and closer relationship. Sorry, you can do this. My private company, Early Start Autism. We give applied behavior analysis that is developmental, specializing in younger children. We partner with the Unicorn Children's Foundation, a nonprofit, to offer a parent coaching scholarship in the Early Start Dimmer model. Parents who receive the scholarship get 14 weeks of parent coaching. You can apply. You can go to my website, Early Start Autism. There's a link under resources, and also go to Unicorn Children's Foundation to apply. Children are eligible up to age 48 months for the parent coaching for the scholarship. I do work with other ages as well, but for the scholarship, it's up to 48 months. These are all your references. And then I just want to thank you for being here today and hanging in there with me. Thank you for attending. You can contact CARD at these numbers at 561-297-2055 or at card@fau.edu. Or there's a website, and I invite you also to visit Early Start's website. Thank you so much.